With the final rounds of the NFL draft ending just yesterday, this meant only 257 players got to be selected to a team. Many players who were expected to be picked did, although there are always some who slip through the cracks and become undrafted. So that's what I want to talk about today. I found 10 players since 2015 that were stars in college football world, but it wasn't enough to hear their name called. For the first year of 2015, I kind of lied and went with 2 players who were undrafted, mainly because both of these were prominent in my football watching experience, with these 2 being FCS running backs John Crockett of NDSU and Zach Zenner of South Dakota State. First, John Crockett. Crockett played 3 seasons for the Bison, improving every year, up from 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns in 2012, then to 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns in 2013. What's also crazy with these seasons, he was in a split backfield. Nevertheless, 2014, he was the guy. He got 368 rushing attempts, which led to 1,994 yards and 21 touchdowns, while also adding 30 receptions for 397 yards. This finally earned him second-team All-Conference honors in the Missouri Valley, and where his 1,994 yards became, and still stands, as a Bison single-season record. Can't forget as well as he played in 3 FCS National Championship games, and where he and the team went 3-0. Crockett got to play in the East-West Shrine Game in 2015, also getting an invite to the Draft Combine. But through 7 rounds, his name wasn't called, eventually signing as a UDFA with the Packers. His Missouri Valley counterpart was a machine. Zach Zenner played 4 years for the Jackrabbits, and in 2011, Season 1, he served in the backup role with just 400 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. Then, the craziness happened. In 2012, he rushed for over 2,000 yards with 13 touchdowns, averaging 157 rushing yards a game. The craziness kept going in 2013, where he became the second FCS player to rush for over 2,000 yards in back-to-back seasons, also adding 23 rushing touchdowns. Finally, in 2014, the craziness slowed down. Just kidding, he again rushed for over 2,000 yards. Zenner's historic 3 years in a row of rushing for 2,000 yards in a season made him the only person ever to accomplish this feat on the FCS level. He also tallied 21 touchdowns during the 2014 season, finishing his career with 6,548 rushing yards, 61 rushing touchdowns, and averaging 125 yards a game over his career. With his accomplishments over these 3 seasons, it meant Zenner made first-team All-Conference 12, 13, and 14, then made second-team FCS All-American in 2012, but first-team FCS All-American in 2013 and 14. Zenner, like Crockett, played in the East-West Shrine Game, and where he also received a combine invite. The Lions were the team to come calling Zenner's number after he went undrafted. Moving back to the FBS level for the rest of the video, Trayvon Boykin was the 2016 best undrafted player. Boykin initially redshirted in 2011, then in 2012 after Casey Pahall's suspension, Boykin started the last 9 games. He finished this season with a 57 pass completion, 2,000 yards, and 15 touchdowns, and being named in some spaces as a Big 12 All-Freshman honoree. 2013, he split time with the previously mentioned Pahall, and where Boykin did a little bit of everything this season. Passed for nearly 1,200 yards, rushed for 300, and had 204 receiving yards. 2014, he finally got the starting job, and where he took off. He helped lead the Horned Frogs to a record of 12-1, and in the process, Boykin completed 301 passes, which resulted in 3,901 yards and 33 touchdowns. These all led the Big 12, adding 700 yards on the ground too. He earned consensus second-team All-American honors, got Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, and where he took 4th in the Heisman voting. TCU won the Peach Bowl, finishing in the final poll at 3rd, and could have been perfect if they hadn't lost to Baylor by 3, and probably could have made the playoffs if the Big 12 had a conference championship game at the time. 2015, he dropped down a little bit stat-wise to 3,575 passing yards and 31 touchdowns, as well as down to 600 rushing yards, but he did also play 2 less games than 14 because of an ankle injury. He still finished 10th in Heisman voting and finished his career at TCU with the most career passing yards and touchdowns that still stands to this day. Boykin unfortunately was arrested in 2015 before the Alamo Bowl, and he missed the greatest bowl comeback game ever against Oregon. And I think that's ultimately why he went undrafted, but the Seahawks did sign him. True freshman KD Cannon was impressive his entire 2014 season. Cannon caught 58 passes with 8 leading to touchdowns and eclipsed 1,000 yards, earning him freshman All-American honors and an All-Big 12 honorable mention. People were also starting to say he was the fastest man in college football. Sophomore season in 15 was a little regress with Bryce Petty leaving and Corey Coleman stepping way up. KD went down to 50 catches for 868 yards with 6 touchdowns, still earning him second-team All-Big 12. Then 2016, KD Cannon became the guy for the Baylor Bears, and where he had his best season of his collegiate career. Cannon grabbed 13 touchdowns, 1,215 yards with his 87 catches that led the Big 12. This was good enough for first team All Big 12 from the coaches. He decided to enter the 2017 draft, wrapping up his Baylor career, where Cannon still ranks third in career receiving yards at Baylor and tied for fourth in career receiving touchdowns. Even with all of this production and not too bad combine, Cannon went undrafted, and where he would sign with the 49ers as a UDFA. 2018 was another star in the quarterback position that went undrafted. JT Barrett of Ohio State was looking to actually be in the backup spot for the 2014 season, but then Braxton Miller injured his shoulder, meaning he was out for the season. Barrett then led Ohio State to a different stratosphere. Just his stats included a 64.7 completion percentage, 2,834 yards, and 34 passing touchdowns, and where his completion percentage and touchdowns led the Big Ten. His 948 yards on the ground also helped him get first team All Big Ten, while finishing fifth in the Heisman voting. The only downside to the season was that he fractured his ankle against Michigan, and where backup Cardell Jones won the national championship for the Buckeyes instead of him. 2015, the sadness continued as he was a backup to Jones for the first 7 games, and where he had some limited play time after that. But 2016, he got back the starting job, and where he had an effective year. 2,500 passing yards with 24 passing touchdowns, finished with 845 rushing yards, and this Ohio State team became the first team to make the college football playoff while not winning their conference. Got blown out by Clemson though. Finally, senior year, I think was his best season. Led the Big Ten in passing touchdowns at 35, threw over 3,000 yards for the first time in his career, had his best career completion percentage at 64.7. This once again earned himself first team All Big Ten, and landed himself in Ohio State record books, where he is still the career leader in passing yards and touchdowns, while still being ranked in the top 10 for rushing yards and touchdowns. A total of 13 QBs got drafted in 2018, yet Barrett had to sign as a UDFA with the Saints. Now in the 2019 draft, an All-American lineman went undrafted from Wisconsin. Bill Benshaw played 4 seasons for the Badgers, and where he was a decorated player. Freshman season in 2015, he started in 8 games, and where he probably would have started every game if he hadn't suffered an injury in training camp. Sophomore season, he started another 14 games at right guard, earning second team All Big Ten by coaches and third team by media. Junior season, he started 14 games again, helping out Jonathan Taylor and being part of an O-line group who only allowed 1.5 sacks a game. He was a consensus first team All Big Ten, then ranged from first team All-American to third team All-American by different sources. 2018 was where he finished as a consensus first team All-American and first team All Big Ten, starting 13 games for the Badgers. So even after all of this, also being from notorious NFL O-lineman pipeline of Wisconsin, Ben Schwal still went undrafted in 2019. He ended up signing with the Lions after the draft. The 2020 draft saw the kicker with the most amount of aura be undrafted. Whether it was from his number, his glasses, his obsession with Legos, or his pick with Quavo, Rodrigo Blankenship started kicking for the Bulldogs in 2016 as a freshman, where he went a respectable 14 of 18 on field goals with 26 of 26 on PATs. This got him SEC All-Freshman Team honors. 2017, he became the full-time starting place kicker, going 20 for 23 from field goals and a perfect 63 of 63 on PATs, the then 4th highest point total in UGA history. 2018 was a similar year, 19 of 23 on field goals, then made 65 PATs, which earned him All-SEC second team and becoming a semifinalist for the Lou Groza Award. 2019, he became the Lou Groza Award winner, was a first-team All-American and a first-team All-SEC, as his stats was going 27 for 33 on field goals with 44 of 44 on PATs. With this season, Blankenship finished as Georgia's all-time point leader at 440. This was just enough for him not to get drafted, and he signed with the Colts after the draft. The player for the 2021 draft probably could have gotten himself drafted if he left school early, but he stuck at Northwestern for 4 seasons. Linebacker Patty Fisher was a 4-year starter in Evanston, and where freshman season he had 113 combined tackles with 65 of them being solo, got 4 forced fumbles, which led the Big Ten, gaining him honors of first-team freshman All-American, being Big Ten Freshman Defensive Player of the Year, and being second or third team All-Big Ten by different sources. 2018 was a similar season stat-wise, 117 tackles as 64 were solos, and where once again he was tied for the most forced fumbles in the Big Ten at 4. Except this season, he was first team All-Big Ten and got third team All-American by the Associated Press. 2019, his performance stat-wise dropped a little bit. Now he was down to just 88 total tackles, where he had less solo tackles than assisted for the first time. Didn't earn any real awards either. Probably didn't help his draft stock either, at Northwestern only won 3 games. So Fisher decided to come back for a final season in 2020, having a solid campaign in my books. He led the Big Ten in solo tackles at 47, grabbing 86 combined tackles this season, where he won the Big Ten Linebacker of the Year award and getting AP All-Big Ten Defensive First Team. He also finished 6th all-time in Northwestern history for tackles. Fisher seemed to be a once can't-miss star who would have been picked high in the draft. Then he faded out of teams' interest later on in his collegiate career, meaning he became undrafted in 2021, and where he signed with the Panthers after the draft. The 2022 draft had one of the greatest names not to be drafted, and safety Smoke Monday. Monday didn't really get too much playtime until his 2020 season. As a true freshman and being reserve safety in 18 and 19, he only accumulated stats of 35 combined tackles, 3 sacks, 4 TFLs, and 2 interceptions. 2020 he became starting safety for the Tigers, and where his stats increased to 73 combined tackles, with 41 of them being solo, having 2 interceptions with 3 pass breakups. This earned him second team All-SEC by the Associated Press. His final season in 2021, his stats were 44 solo tackles, 64 combined, 9 TFLs, and 5 pass breakups. Once again, he was named second team All-SEC by some outlets. He also had a crazy 4 ejections for targeting in his career, just an odd thing I found on Auburn's player page for him. Even with some productive seasons, Monday went undrafted and signed with the Saints as a UDFA. This 2023 draft prospect burst onto the scene in 2018 up in Minnesota. Mohamed Ibrahim got to start 9 games for the Gophers this season as senior Rodney Smith went down with a season-ending surgery. Ibrahim jumped on the opportunity and put up 1,160 yards with 9 rushing touchdowns, earning himself all Big Ten honorable mention. Sophomore season, he was out with injury for a couple games, and with Rodney Smith back, Ibrahim only had 600 yards on the ground with 7 touchdowns in this magical Minnesota 2019 season. 2020 only saw the Gophers play just 7 games, but if it was a full season, Ibrahim would have been in Heisman contention. For the 7 games he was a part of, Mohamed led the Big Ten in rushing attempts, 201, rushing yards, 1,076, and rushing touchdowns, 15. This equaled 153.7 yards a game, and where he saw himself win Big Ten Running Back of the Year, becoming all Big Ten First Team with the AP, having him as a third-team All-American. But in a game against Ohio State where he ran for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns, he sustained a leg injury that cost him the rest of the 2021 season. 2022, he bounced back stronger than ever, led the Big Ten in yards at 1,665, Gophers record, led the nation in touchdowns at 20, also Gophers record, rushing 320 times during the season. Second team All-American and first team All-Big Ten were Ibrahim's achievements this season, but drafted was not one. He went on to sign with the Lions after not being drafted in 2023. The final player who wasn't drafted in 2024 is another quarterback. Sam Hartman played a lot of college football, so he has many achievements. He got the starting job his true freshman year at Wake Forest, where it was going how you would expect a true freshman QB playing to go. Hartman had a 55% pass completion with nearly 2,000 yards and 16 touchdowns in 9 games. Then a game against Syracuse, he broke his leg and was out for the rest of the season. 2019, he played in just 4 games, got beat out by Jamie Newman, and earned a redshirt season though. Wake Forest played just 9 games in 2020. Hartman played all 9, posting 2,224 yards with 13 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Then 2021, Hartman was at the helm for one of Wake Forest's best seasons in program history. Hartman himself completed 58.9% of his passes for 4,228 yards and 39 touchdowns, while also rushing in for 11 touchdowns. His efforts helped the Deacons get to a record of 11-3, sadly losing in the ACC championship game. His 4,228 yards are first in Wake Forest history in a single season. He finished as a semifinalist for the Walter Camp and O'Brien Awards, but he did earn second-team All-ACC honors. 2022 is his final season at Wake, and a tad step back stat-wise due to playing 2 less games, down to just 3,700 yards with 38 touchdowns. But before he left the ACC, he finished second all-time in passing yards and holds a record of ACC passing touchdowns at 110. 2023, he transferred to Notre Dame, having an alright season. Completed 63.5% of his passes for 2,689 yards and 24 touchdowns. His career total saw him finish 6th all-time in career passing yards on the FBS level, with him finishing tied 4th in passing touchdowns in a career. All of this didn't matter to NFL scouts as Hartman's name wasn't called during the 2024 draft and where he signed as a UDFA with the Commanders. So over the past 10 drafts, these were the biggest college football stars I could find that went undrafted. If you have any more stars who you thought should have been drafted, leave a comment below. I wonder who will be the biggest name after this 2025 draft when I post this video.